when the last election was about to kick off and everything, I actually watched. I was engaged. But
I don't care. I don't give a shit. I'll vote. Don't get me wrong. I'll vote, but they've already bored me with nonsense. With just utter nonsense. One of the big problems is TV debate lark.
Why do you feel it's a problem? Why is it lark?
Why is it we have to do an American style fancy lights and all these podiums and stuff to have a scripted debate? For God's sake, it's scripted. They know what they're going to be asked. They know what the topics are. There's just no need. And then to have all of the parties there, I totally agree that every party should have a voice, even if it is some racist UKIP, whoever. But the televised debate does absolutely nothing for the whole system.
Yeah, but but politics as a whole, as an institution, doesn't do anything for the people.
No, of course not.
So
but this
the
is
whole thing is an exercise in futility.
Yes, exactly. So why are we having the debate about it?
Because there are people out there who still believe politics can work. They're fools. They're misguided fools.
I think that most politicians get into politics for the right reasons, but
aren't able to change anything.
They get swallowed by the system too quickly, and they become what they really didn't set out to be. But with these debates, and you want the proper questions to be asked, like the NHS. What are you going to do about it? What needs to be done about it? And you don't want empty answers, which is what you will get in a television debate.
But you're gonna get that anyway when you see them in the house. And
in the house is slightly different. In the house,
it is, but it's still nonsense.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? You're talking about the TV debate. I'm hearing you, but politics in general, the politicians who affect change do not give a shit about you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that won't change. You're saying you're going to vote. Now, I understand historically why it's so important, but if A is crud, B is crap, and C is shite, why vote? I have to believe that someone's going to do something for us. You haven't really been paying attention, have you? For the last few years. Everything has gone to pot. All the ways that the government is supposed to be looking after you, what they said they could do, whether they can realistically afford to do it or not, it isn't happening. Back in the 80s, people had pensions, they did things with the money, and the money went wherever, and now people don't have pensions. And aren't you getting the message yet that they aren't looking after you?
Yeah, I'll read all the stuff that they actually they manifest and everything.
Really? You waste time on that?
Well, that's the only thing that you can really call them
out. I mean, I mean, you're right, but you're not right. You see, because
I'm right, and it should work like that, but it doesn't.
But this is why you're not right. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyone of age knows politicians do not keep their word. Most people feel that the government does not look after their best interests, working class. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So with that said, I don't understand why anyone in their right mind would invest time in engaging with this, because we've been here before. We were here 4 years ago. We were here 40 years ago.
Yeah.
When are we going to start learning and getting the message that they will say whatever it takes, then they will do what they want, they will leave you in the cold, you cannot afford to get sick, old, you can't afford to do anything.
They're kicking around the NHS, man, and just like a political football, and that's not right. Using one of the best things in Britain, that we have is this free
National Health Service.
Yeah, the National Health Service. It's amazing. It works, and at the moment they're trying to put all these targets on waiting times, and the Conservative Party are now blaming the previous Labour Party.
But that's what they do. They do that to each other.
But this is it. They're still blaming them for all these extended waiting times, and the Labour Party is blaming the Conservatives for extending these waiting times. It's silly. You think about it. You're supposed to see X amount of people within X amount of time. Why give yourself that kind of a target when you're dealing with people's lives, man?
We are coming at this from the perspective that the Tories are really genuinely interested in professional in-depth healthcare for the people. They are not. What really concerns me is that the NHS is on the brink of being sold off. I mean, I saw a very interesting documentary on this. I will try and find the link and make sure it's available to anyone who watches the video. People need to know what's going on with the NHS and how it's being sold off right from under our noses, and it's at breaking point, not because the NHS can't cope, it's because how you basically initiate something being privatized. You make sure you deprive it of what it needs, funding and all the rest of it, so it looks as if privatization is the best alternative, and it won't be. A living expectancy of every single person in this country will drop, just like it is in America. What's going on is they institute these time frames that are almost impossible to meet. They use the fact that people fail these time frames to fine the hospitals or whatever, and then they can use it as an argument to say the NHS is failing, we need to privatize it. That's what's going on. And both Labour and the Conservative Party have been aware and involved and party to doing so, for the last 20, 30 years. It's happened gradually, which is why no one can see it. Both the Labour and the Tories, they've all been involved and are all culpable in terms of us losing one of the best institutions of in the country in the last 100 years. And those two have been the ones in power for the main ones in power for the last I don't know how many decades. If they're both willing to do that, they're both corrupt. And if they're both corrupt, they're not worth paying attention to.
Royal Mail, right, was a brilliant institution. So we had another thing that was publicly funded, and then they sold it off to make a bit of money. They'll do that with the NHS, of course they would. Yeah.
The NHS, Royal Mail were all public institutions at one point, which is great. If you ask anyone, any working class person, no one's going to go and say, yeah, I think it's a good thing for the privatisation of the NHS to take place, when they fully understand what that would actually mean in real terms. Yeah. Despite that, over the last 20, 25, 30 years, it's been happening, which tells me the politicians are self-serving. They'll serve their friends. They will go against against public interest in favour of their own interest and the interests of their friends if it means making money.
Yep.
When you realise that the politicians don't really care in helping the working man.
Oh, of course they don't.
I found it very interesting that Cameron must go trending tweet, actually. The fact that it was trending for so long. It was trending for over a week, I think, and how people felt, the things they were saying about why he must go and what he's done and the lies that he's told and all the rest of it. And absolutely no different from Blair, really, or any other person in power. But anyway, people are asking who's going to replace him, whether he's Labour, whether he's UKIP, whether he's Conservative, whether it doesn't matter. They are all going to be self-serving. They are all going to fail the people. I guarantee you that. But Cameron must go. I loved that trend. It was great. It was great to see what people said. It was great that people gave real reasons as to why they want him out. I saw a tweet of the rates of homelessness and everything else, and how things have basically gotten worse underneath him, even though he's claimed he's tried to do this and he's claimed he's tried to do that, and how he's claimed things have gotten better. They haven't gotten better, but he's not trying to serve us. He is serving, but he's not serving the people. And the Conservatives will never serve the people.
I mean, you think about it, the whole thing with unemployment, you think that all these statistics came out saying that, unemployment's dropped by X amount. No, it hasn't. What they've done is they've given people 0-hour contract, which puts them on the employment, but with no work. And it's things like that, really, people need to just kind of be looking at it.
Anyone who really wants to get into a discussion about politics, go play with yourself. If it feels good, it looks like you're doing something, but in real terms it accomplishes nothing. That is what politics is. Masturbation. Getting engaged in it, it's a waste of time. What I'm saying is the institution is far too ingrained in our system of things to separate it and put in something new. It's too far gone for that.
No TV debates. There we go.
No politics.
No politics.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's corrupt. It's corrupt. Bottom to top to bottom, inside out, head to toe.
Yeah.